Hey yo, what's going on everyone? Nathan here. So today is September 7th of 2022, and that means that Apple just had their yearly September event, usually like where they unveiled the next iPhone and a couple other products, and they did so exactly that today. And so just after watching the event, taking some notes, I'm going to go through their website and just briefly run through all the new things that they unveiled and my honest thoughts about them. A little hint, I think that this event was a little lackluster, but it's okay, and honestly, everything was like down to almost a T of like the leaks that went on before this event happened. So enough of that, let's just get right into it. And so the first product that Apple unveiled is the new Apple Watch Series 8. So it's very similar to the Series 7. It has an always on display, pretty much almost the same exact specs, the same S8 chip inside of it, but it has a new temperature sensor, and Apple really leaned into this sensor and more so like women's health with this. So with this temperature sensor, it's going to be easier for the Apple Watch to track cycles on its own, and it's going to be able to give you very exact estimates as to when it predicts that you ovulated last. And this is going to be able to help give you more data to have more conversations with doctors, because women's cycles are a huge tell to like their overall body health. So I definitely do think that this is a good improvement for the whole Apple Watch in general and for women's health as well. So another new feature is crash detection. And this is very similar to their fall detection, but this new Series 8 now has a high G-force accelerometer inside of it and updated gyroscopes. So it's going to be able to feel that G-force like high quick increase in case of like a car accident. It'll be able to tell between 4 different types of accidents: a front, a rear, a side, and a rollover. And if you get into one, it'll instantly start and ask you if you want an emergency call. And so the color options that you can get with the Series 8 depends on which material you get it with. So if you get aluminum, you can pick between midnight, starlight, silver, and product red. And if you get stainless steel, then you can pick between gold, graphite, and silver. So again, nothing too major here, no huge updates, but I think overall it'll be just a nice update in general. And so one of the things that's going to be added with these, but it's more so like a watchOS 9 feature instead of Series 8 feature, because watches from Series 4 and up will get it, is going to be low power mode. And so this will turn an 18-hour battery life into a 36-hour battery life. So it can now make it a little more viable if you want to use it to help sleep track than beforehand. And the Series 8s will start at $399 for the GPS model and go up to $499 for the cellular model. But again, that's the smaller size. If you get the larger size, then you can probably add on a quick $50 right there. So just keep that in mind, but those are the starting prices for the Series 8. And then from here, Apple went on to the second generation of the Watch SE. And this is so minor as well, such a minor upgrade. So I just took a few notes on it. Essentially, you're now getting the S8 chip, which is the same as the S7 chip. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the same as the S6 chip. They just keep rebranding it. So again, like not much there, but it's going to be 20% faster than the past SE, which, I guess is okay. And then one other thing that they kind of pushed heavily is that now the backs of like the sensors and the Apple Watch itself will now color match the actual aluminum that you get with it. And you're gonna be able to pick between silver, midnight, and starlight. These will start at $249 for the GPS model and then can go up to $299 for the cellular model. So from here, Apple unveiled probably the biggest and most hyped product out of all of this, and this is the Apple Watch Ultra. Love the name of it. So essentially, this is a kind of higher fitness, higher durability, bigger Apple Watch that'll be able to give you a little more features and for those like ultra athletes. So the Apple Watch Ultra definitely has a more rugged design. It's made out of aerospace grade titanium, which is really cool. The screen is now a flat sapphire screen, and the titanium edges actually come up around the screen to protect it. So a little thing about sapphire is that it's very like resilient towards scratches, but it is like a more brittle material. So if you were to drop it, it has an easier time cracking and breaking than scratching. It's just like a pro and a con versus like what you think you'll use this for. So having the titanium material come up around the screen can help protect it from those drops, and the sapphire will definitely help it with scratches, which I think is a nice like little touch and combination of design. So they have a brand new international orange action button, they're calling it, on the side. And yes, like international orange is like an actual thing. It'll just stand out nice and bright. So that's kind of like the theme of the whole Apple Watch Ultra. But you can actually set this to have different functions, especially like if you like run ultra marathons or if you're running laps, then Pressing this button can instantly start like a new lap time for you, or if you're going diving, press it and it'll pull up like different like diving metrics that can help record for you like while you're down underwater, and just other things that you can preset this to. So I think this is a nice feature. So now there are 3 buttons on this Apple Watch Ultra. There is also a larger digital crown with bigger grooves inside of it, which will be easier to use if like you have gloves on. I think they also added another speaker, so like when you're in extreme environments, then it'll be louder and you'll be able to hear someone talking to you. Cellular comes in every Ultra. You can't get an Ultra without it. So, and again, you'll see in a little bit like you're paying a premium for this product. This has a 36-hour battery on a single charge, so you can probably get more than 1 day and night's worth of sleep with this Apple Watch at a single time. But with the new low power mode, you can get up to 60 hours, which I think is really cool and nice as well. It comes with the new Wayfinder face, which has like a compass and a dial, and you can customize it to either an ocean, a mountain, or a trail kind of format to it, whatever you use more. And there's also a night mode for at night activities. It'll be less like kind of harsh on your eyes, and it'll cut out all like the UV blue lights inside of the screen. They also announced 3 very specific like sport tailored watch bands. There's a new Alpine loop, there's a new ocean band, and there's a new trail loop. So one really cool thing is that Apple redesigned their compass app, so now it's a lot more useful. So you can set waypoints and markers in the compass itself, and it'll keep track of that point as like you like wander away from it. So like let's say you set up a tent or a camp somewhere, you can set the point in your Apple Watch, go explore, wander off, and it'll help lead you back to that exact point. So I think that's super cool with that. And there's also this new feature called Backtrack, which will automatically trace your steps as you start to like wander off. And then if you want to use it, you can. Or if your GPS like goes off the grid and then you all of a sudden like are out of service somewhere, then Backtrack instantly turns on and it'll give you like a route to walk back on. So you can use this feature without cellular data, which could be super helpful and useful if someone like were to get lost in the woods. So I think that this is actually really awesome. They also heavily push this new diving feature and the diving app for it. It's called Oceanic Plus. So the Apple Watch Ultra is starting at $799, which I know is a lot, especially when the SE starts at $250. But again, this is tailored for like more super athletes, people who like to do daring activities, go super deep in the water, climb super high in the mountains, whatever it is. This is made for those people. And I think that this is now like a high competitor towards Garmin watches. So from here, Apple moved over to the AirPods Pro 2nd generation, and this was the product I was really hoping for. Unfortunately, it's not a huge overhaul. There's just minor updates, but I'm glad that they actually updated it because it's been about 3 years since the last AirPods Pro. So one of the biggest things is that there's the new H2 chip inside of it. This is going to allow for higher bandwidth connectivity. This is going to help power a new low distortion driver and custom amps inside of it, which will add more detail and clarity to the music. Hopefully it's a noticeable difference and sounds a lot better. There's also going to be personalized spatial audio, which will use your phone's camera to kind of map out spatial audio for your own specific head and ears. So I'm very curious to try that out, and hopefully like it sounds really cool and immersive with it. Then also with the H2 chip, they talked about active noise canceling, and they say that you're gonna be able to get 2 times as much noise canceling as compared to the past AirPods Pro. I thought the original AirPods Pro canceled out a lot of noise, so twice as much of that. This is going to sound crazy, and I'm super excited to try this out. There's also new extra small ear tips for people who found that the AirPods Pro, even the small tips were too big for them. And they're going to have a new adaptive transparency mode, which means that it's going to block out harsh noises like very loud construction in the background, and it's not going to play that through your ears like what it would beforehand. So you're going to be able to hear people talk with you. You're going to hear like birds chirping or grasshoppers, whatever. But harsh noises, it'll still block that out and help you. So I think that's super cool, like how they're able to kind of distinguish between them, cancel out the ones you don't want to hear, and let in the ones that you would want to hear. So this next feature I'm super excited for. So the whole design looks almost exactly the same, and there's still the stems with the Force Touch, but now on the Force Touch areas, there's also touch controls. So a swipe up and down on either of them will be able to raise and lower the volume. They also increase the battery life. So now it's going to have 6 hours on a single charge with each of the air tips. And then in the case itself, there'll be a total of 30 hours of battery life. So you can never ask for too much battery, and I'm super happy that they were able to increase that. You're going to be able to use Find My with each individual earbud itself and the case as well, which I think would be super helpful for trying to find them if one of them is missing. And they also added a little speaker into the case to help make a noise if you were to lose the case itself with the earbuds inside of it, to help you locate it. It'll play this noise. And they also added a little lanyard loop clip. I think it's like a nice little addition. I don't know if I'll personally use it. Thankfully, it's starting at $250 again. Super excited. I've been waiting for this product, and I'm happy that there are some upgrades that I think are worth upgrading for. So from here, Apple went over to the iPhone 14 series, and just like all the rumors, there's just a regular 6.1 inch iPhone 14 and a new iPhone 14 Max. That's going to be 6.7 inches, and they're getting rid of the mini version. So with this, you're getting a Super Retina XDR display with 1200 nits of brightness. You're going to get 4 different colors: a midnight, starlight, a new like very light blue, and a very light purple, and then a product red. This is going to have the A15 Bionic chip, which is what the 13 Pros had in it last year. So you know you're going to get a very strong phone, very powerful phone. The camera system is now going to get a 12 megapixel main camera. It's going to have larger sensors in it and pixels. And they say you're going to get 49% better low light photos. The second camera on the 14s will be an ultra wide camera, which I know a lot of people like to use. And then you're also now getting a 12 megapixel front facing camera with autofocus and true depth capabilities. So this is the first time I think they said the front facing camera of autofocus, so that's really cool. And then the video they showed it, there's new enhanced stabilization. They're calling this action mode, and this looks really impressive actually. They showed like side by side running, and then with the action mode on and running in the same kind of area. So then Apple talked about eSIM, and so essentially all iPhones from here on out will not have SIM cards anymore, or a SIM card tray. So you don't have to worry about like that little tool that comes with that little silver thing to unlock the SIM card. So it's all going to be done inside the actual iPhone itself. I don't know how exactly it's going to work, especially if you have 2 different phones that you use, like one Android, one Apple. I'm not too sure how it's going to work, but just know from now on, iPhones will not have a SIM card or a SIM tray with it. So now the iPhone 14 can connect to satellites, and it shows you where they are, like on the iPhone itself, but you have to be pointing directly at them to get a strong enough signal to send a message through. So the iPhone 14s will start at $799, and then the iPhone 14 Plus will start at $899. So very shocking how they kept this the same prices before as the 13s. So I'm glad to see that. And then finally, Apple went on and talked about the iPhone 14 Pros. And just like all the rumors, they were pretty much spot on. Apple went with a pill shape instead of the notch. So the notches are gone now in the newer iPhones. And I actually really like how they leaned into the whole pill shape of it. Like they didn't try covering it up with a wallpaper that would hide it. They really just went all out with it, and they just integrated all of iOS with this new pill. So quickly before the pill, this is gonna have like almost the exact same build as the 13 Pro did, same stainless steel, but you're gonna get these colors with it. You can get space black, silver, gold, or this deep purple. I'm sure deep purple in person will look different, but just from like the renderings and the photos of it, I'm not a big fan of it. It's like a Thanos color. Almost, maybe just like a little more muted than Thanos. So going back to the pill shape now, they call this the dynamic island, and this is like the most Apple thing ever to do. They're implementing iOS around it, so any like notifications that you get or apps being used in the background, they'll have their own animations and little features integrated in with this dynamic island. Anything displayed in the background, like music or album covers, will be able to just like get little icons inside of there. Any sort of indicator that like your AirPods are connected to it, and it'll be interactive as well. You'll be able to touch on it and it'll expand and it'll give you different options of stuff to do. So honestly, I'm actually super like surprised with like the way that they took this. I thought it would just be a cutout and it'd be useless, but they really just like went all out with it. And as you can tell now, like I think this is going to be here to stay for the next few years because they took so much time to integrate everything into their dynamic island. So I actually do like it, and I like it more than if it were just a regular cutout. So the Pros are getting the Super Retina XDR display. They're gonna have a peak HDR brightness of 1600 nits and then even reach 2000 nits at some points. And another big thing is that this is gonna have an always on display. So finally, after so many years of trailing behind Android, it's like your whole entire screen just dims, and then it's there and it's always going to stay on. And I think that's actually really cool about it. Apparently it's super efficient. They have a bunch of new technology in the screen to make it super efficient to keep up the great battery life in the previous Pros as well. So these Pros are also getting the A16 Bionic, which is a new chip. And then another big feature are the camera systems. So now there's a new 48 megapixel camera with quad pixel sensors. So this is like one of the biggest changes. So they're finally upgrading from a 12 megapixel to a 48 megapixel. So essentially your photos will be larger and there's gonna be more detail on them. So you'll be able to crop in on specific areas and maintain the same resolution. So I think this is a huge step forward in photography for the iPhone itself. You're gonna get a new 2x telephoto option along with the 3x as well. So now you have the ultra wide, which is 0.5, you have the regular, you have a new 2x and the 3x telephoto, all with like maximum like pixels and everything, resolution. So that's really cool as well. And then surprisingly, not much happened with video. I know the iPhones are already like top of the line in smartphone videos, but it's getting the new action mode just like the other 14s. And cinematic mode now supports 4K at 30 and 24 frames per second. So they didn't say the battery time with it. They just said all day battery as well. But I'm assuming that they wouldn't have let the battery slip so much. And the 13 Pros were already great on battery life. So I can imagine that the 14 Pros will stay pretty much right around the same area as well. So the regular 13 Pro is going to start at $999, and then the 13 Pro Max is going to start at $1099. And these will be both capped at 1 terabyte of internal storage. So that right there recaps the Apple event for this year. Again, I love the Apple events. I'm such a fanboy with them. I just think it's super cool. I think my favorite things, I am going to be ordering the 2nd gen AirPods Pro. I've just been holding out for that, and I think it's going to be, you know, well worth the upgrade to get them. Then I think the Apple Watch Ultra is sick. And then I think that the new pill shape in the iPhone 14 Pros is really cool with that dynamic island. I think that's really awesome that they kind of leaned into it like that. So that's gonna be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it or if you learned something new, then please don't forget to hit the like button down below and subscribe. And as always, have a great day, everyone, and cheers.